So look, the idea behind the annuals is, and here's an example of an annual, right? The idea behind the annuals is it sets up for the year. And the timing of our work together is perfect because it's about 2026, right? And so up here, it can be, you could put up here, Luke, 10 deals. You could put up 1.5 million in gross. You could put up here 500,000 net to me, whatever the case may be. Andrew, same for you. Then what we do is we go to the quarterly, and our annual, right? Our quarterlies are a fractional part of our annual. We worked on this bottom part right here. Okay. And what I wanted us to do, because we're in Q1, is I want to make sure everybody has their Q1 goals, right? So I've got my productivity funnel right here. I got my annual goals here. And then, at least initially, the first quarter, we don't want to create 5 new goals. We just want to take fractional parts of what we have for our annual goals, right? And so that's what we should have down here. And then for our monthly, right, what we want to do is we want to have a fractional part of our quarterly. So we look at the quarterly, and then we break it down to the monthly. Now, you can see in here, I'll share a little bit about the home stretch idea. People will say to me a lot, they'll say, hey, Tim, like there are a lot of worksheets. No, they're not. They're not. Because here's how I want you to look at them. First of all, if you're not willing to take a couple of hours at the beginning of the year to build your plan, you're not serious about building your business. It's just flat out. I don't care what anybody says, right? Look, Tony Robbins says it great. You're going to get there. The question is there where you want to get intentionally, or is there where you end up? That's it. That's the end of the story, right? So I want you to start to think about, like for me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm starting to work on what I call my 5-year plan. Why? What do I want my life to look like in 5 years? And I'll just share with you. The overarching goal is WFA, work from anywhere. I can't work from anywhere right now, right? And so what I want to do is I want to start to think strategically, right, about that. I want to start to implement these strategies that are going to help me get to WFA. All right. So, before it was, I'm just going to, my overarching goal was, to make, X amount of dollars year after year after year. No, what I want to do now is I want more flexibility. And that's what my 5-year plan is. I will never retire, ever. Love what I do. Never retire. And so I might scale back a little bit, but I want to be able to, if I travel to, like, for example, I'm going 2 weeks to vacation in New Jersey. I don't want my business to stop. So I can just set up my computer there and I can just work from there. If I want to go to Europe with my wife, let's say for a month, I can go to Europe and I can work from there. That's my long-term goal. Right now, we're focused on 2025. And so what we do is we have our annual goals, our quarterly, just to remember. So I would break this down. Let's just say it's 2,400 calls. I would divide that by 3, right? And I would say, okay, or by 4. So I'd say I want to make 600 calls, right, this quarter. Then what I would do is I'd divide that by 3, and I'm going to make 200 calls per month. Now, guys, once you're done with your quarterly and your annual, put them away. Don't look at them at all. All you're focused on is your monthly goals. That's it. You're only looking at your monthly goals. So, for example, what I do is I have a page protector, right? And I put my goals inside my page protector and I leave it out on my desk. I take it a step further. I write down every day what my goals are, and it can get monotonous, but I keep like impressing on the brain, impressing on the brain, impressing on the brain, impressing on the brain, right? What are the goals that what do I want to accomplish? But the key for me is I have those goal worksheets out, because just by the fact that they're on my desk, it's amazing what you'll accomplish. Most people will set the goals, and then what they'll do is they'll put them away. And they have good intentions, and a lot of times at the end of the month, they'll be surprised at what they get done because they set the initial intention at the beginning of the month. But I would just encourage you to have it out on your desk. And if you have an office at home and you have an office at work, have 2 copies. Just have it out there. Okay? Now, this is an important part of the process here, okay? Let me see I'm going to see if I can pull up an illustration of one of these guys, right? So I'm going to do TOB. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let's go to, all right, here we go. So this is what I want to talk about here. Okay. Now, see October here for me. Let's just assume these goals right here, right, are, these monthly goals right here are September. And I have them written down here. What I want you also to do is I want you to hold yourself accountable, right? I want you to start to say to yourself, look, I'm going to start doing what I say I'm going to do. And I'm going to measure every month how I did. So Luke volunteered. Oh, geez, I didn't do that good this month. It's totally cool. Don't worry about it, right? Look, if you did your annual goals and you did 3 out of 4 quarterly goals and you did 7, 8 at 9 of your monthly goals, you'll crush it. You'll crush it. What I don't want to have happen is people to fall off and not get back on. That's the key. Don't fall off and then stay off. Get back on. And don't worry about going backwards. Just pick up where you left off and move forward. Okay? Now, so let's just assume what I do is I do this. Okay? So this is how we're going to do this. Right? We're going to copy. Okay? And then what we'll do is, let me go back to this guy right here. Okay? This goal, right, on a personal this was the goal. Because I do a set of business and a set of personal. So I'm just going to share you my personal right here. Okay. So here's what I do. I say the goal I set for the month was to pay off mine and Patricia's bond void. Okay. Just make the final payment. Right. Key strategy is like, let's say, use the revenue from Keynote. Okay. Now, here we are. So you're in the beginning of March. Okay. We're in the middle of March. You got plenty of time to set these goals. So the idea here is you're saying to yourself, okay, now it's time to set April goals. Or in this case up here, guys, I said October. So what I do is I take this goal right here, and here's what I do. I just cut and paste. I go right here, and I'll say, okay, this was the goal. So I do it really fast, right? Copy, paste. Okay. So now the goal says pay mine and POB's bond void. POB is my wife. So what I do is this is a journal entry about how well I'm doing. This is so important because you got to just focus on chopping wood and carrying water over and over and over. Just like Eric makes, I don't know how I do it, but I make 500 calls a month, right? Over and over and over. He's on the right track. Eric, do you ever get tired of saying the same thing on the calls? Yes. You are on the right track. Do you understand? You are on that's where you want to be. That's part of the riddle. People say, oh, I'm going to say this today. I'm going to say this tomorrow. I'm going to say, no, it's just about keeping going. So pay mine. So what I did was I said, okay, I want to change it. Paid, right? So I change it. So this is the journal entry. Why did I get it done? You want to start to figure out what is good motivation for you. Guys, there's only 2 motivations: move towards or move away, known as the carrot and the stick. Don't worry about what you are, right? Just figure out what is it. So, like, for example, Luke, when bills come into your house, do you pay them that day? Why? Because I get them off my plate and I know, and I don't have to worry about them. Or, I deal with them at the end of the month. But why do you pay them at the end of the month? Well, I eventually pay them because if I don't pay them, I get a ding on my credit report. So you're moving away from the consequence of the credit report. But do you see both instances, the bills get paid? So I don't care if you're moved towards or move away. I just want you to set and achieve goals. Now, sometimes you'll have up here, I overcommitted. Sometimes you'll have here, I just got lazy. Sometimes, I just didn't make it a priority. Sometimes it's, I did everything I could, but I was waiting on somebody else. Okay. You want to be honest with yourself. That's the key, is you want to be honest with yourself. So you see this here? It was have one date night with Patricia. Did not have one date night, right? Now, my daughter came with us, so I couldn't say no. So I gave us a 5 because we did go out, right? Get under 180 pounds, right? COVID knocked me for a loop. I got COVID, 0, right? Um, my thing was do my visualizations every day, the rosary 2 times per week, and put thoughts on when needed, right? And put thoughts on trial when needed, because I'm always about optimizing my mindset, staying positive, staying on offense. So what happens here, guys, is I did not do this, I did not do this, I did this, right? I got lazy. I'm just gonna be honest with myself. I got lazy, gave myself a 5. Take one mental health day off. That just means once a quarter, take off, do what I want to do, right? Go get a massage, go to the Apple store, look at stuff, knickknacks, whatever it is. Like, it's not like take a day off and jam pack it with personal stuff. It's about just me, self-care. And by the way, it's not a woke term. You got to make sure you refresh. And Luke will tell you that, and Andrew will tell you that. Eric, I don't know if you played college sports or professional sports, but it's about recuperating with your body. Well, recuperate with your mind. Okay. So I just want to kind of show you now, this right here, guys, this right here is what we call the execution score. The execution score is just, it's simple. Be a emergency room physician. It's clinical. Okay. It's just clinical. And all you're doing is saying, I just want to know how much of it you got done. So I want to know how much of it you got done, why you did or didn't do it. And I want to know, measure it. And I bet if you tell me what yours was and you tell me what you got done, we would arrive at the same score. See, there's no subjectivity to it, right? Like Luke, you might say, I gave myself a 3. And I'd say, look at me. I think I give you a 4. You might say 5. I might say, I think a 4. But it's not going to be, I give myself a 2. No, Luke, you give yourself a 9. It's so easy. This is just, and by the way, you can get all 10s here and not move your business forward. You can get a 10 on something critical that changes your business and changes your life, which leads us to the impact score. What is the impact score? So Eric's impact score for Q1 is what, Eric?
It's a B plus.
No way. No friggin' way. What is it?
Landing this client, I just got elevated it quite a bit.
Because Eric, you're in the course to get 100 million a quarter. You get an
Yeah.
A. You get an A. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, Eric, you could get all zeros and still get an A because you chopped wood and carried water on prior goals, and that's where this came from. Or you could have done one of these things, and these are all zeros, and you got the guy, right? Or, Eric, you could give yourself, right? Like, Tim, I worked my ass off, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. What do I give myself? I didn't get any assets under management, but I'm not going to give myself an F. I'm going to give myself a C because I'm putting the effort in. I'm planting good seeds. You get the F, guys, when you do. It was funny. One of the guys in the group was like, I give myself a D minus. I'm like, okay. How do you get a D minus, right? That's like an F plus, right? So the idea here is Eric, so you want to make sure that you're setting your now once I do this here, now I set my October goals. Okay. Now there's 3 options here, guys. There's 3 options, right? First is anything up here that I didn't get done that I want to carry down, right? Anything up here that I want to carry down. Number two is now I go back to my quarterly goals, right? And I look at my quarterly goals and I see what fractional part of my quarterly goals do I want to get done. That's the second option that goes down here, right? The third option is something popped up that I didn't think about when I set my annual goals or my quarterly goals, but I'm going to pursue it. It does not replace what you already set up. Okay. It does not replace what you already set up. You still need to do the other goals. You're just adding more to your plate. Okay. So this is where this is where things might start to vary a little bit, right? Like it's not lockstep with with my 5 quarterlies, because I was driving down the street, I saw a sign and a great idea came to me, and I'm going to do it, right? I ran into somebody in McDonald's I hadn't seen in years, an opportunity popped up, I'm going to do it. So it might delay execution of the quarterly goals, but that's okay. That's what entrepreneurship is about. We need to be flexible. Okay. We need to be flexible. So, did you guys, before I kind of give you guys an exercise, do you guys have any questions? Okay. So here's what I want to do. And we're in breakout session together right now, and then we're gonna kind of share stuff, and you'll share your screen. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to I want you to fill out, if you have not filled out, right? If you have not filled out like February goals, right? What I want you to do is, or rather March goals, I want you to fill out your March goals. If you haven't figured out your quarterly goals, I want you to fill out your Q1 goals. That's what I want you to do. So I don't care what you're going to work on. We're not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stop the recording, and then you guys are going to work for yourselves right now. So Andrew, do you have the monthly goal worksheet?
I do. I'm actually not able to log in for some
Okay.
reason. So I've been trying to log in throughout this
But do
call.
you,
So
don't worry. Do you
yeah,
have the monthly goal worksheet, or do I need to send it to you?
I could you send it to me, please?
Yeah, because it'll be online, so you can work on it on your computer. Okay.
Perfect.
Um, so, and then Luke, you have all of them, right?
I do, yeah.
Great. And then Eric, you have it as well, right?
So I have it, but again, it's on my personal computer, and I can't. If you can send me whatever you're going to send to my work email, hopefully I can access it. But I
I'm
have
gonna do
my
it.
yeah, I have my
Yep.
annual goals written in the grid, and then my monthly just written down on my notepad.
Okay. So I'm gonna send you quarterly, monthly, and you'll decide what you're gonna work on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll do Eric. Okay. And I'm gonna send you both just so you have them. All right. And there's the monthly, and then there's the quarterly. So you'll decide. Okay. And then
Okay.
open them up. And then um what we'll do is when we come back, Luke, you just kind of, maybe based on what I share with you, maybe tweak things a little bit if there's some tweaking there, okay? And then what I'll ask Eric to do, and I'll ask Andrew to do. Andrew, I know you haven't done your annual and your quarterly, but I do want to hold you accountable on that, and I need you to get that done by the next call.
Yep.
But right now, I want you to set your goals for March. Now, understanding we're at the 13th, so you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. But I want
Sure.
you to set 5 SMART goals and 5 key strategies. Okay? Does that make
Yep.
sense? And then
It
what
does.
we'll do is we're going to pull up Luke's when we get back, right? When we get back, we're going to pull up Luke's and we'll go through yours, Luke. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll use yours as the guinea pig to polish.
Yep.
Okay. Now, one of the things, right? See this right here is, I want you on the key strategy, have the key strategy be a SMART strategy as well, right? See this right here? One date night, right? Schedule and stick to it. Not enough. Schedule by, see, this is the old Tim O'Brien last year, but I upped the game for me and for my clients. I want it to be scheduled by, not the first week of October, the date in October when I will have put it on the calendar, right? And I will stick to it, but I want to be specific, right? Listen to Annie, it's recording. Keep track every day and report to Anna E. Okay. That's a mindset technique that actually my son's in therapy with his OCD and anxiety, and I loved it. And I said, I'm going to do it. So this was right here. Keep track every day and report to Annie E. Right? Did or did not do. So you see how they're specific here? Pay at least 5,000 by 10/31. Do not play the scarcity game. This needs to be more specific. Buy a scale. Buy, weigh daily. Okay. Okay. So you see how they're specific. They're like SMART goals, SMART strategies. This enhances the likelihood you'll get this done. Now I'll be quiet. Okay. I'll
Tim,
be
do you want
quiet.
us to have any personal goals on here? Does it matter? Like, should it all be business or whatever?
Luke, I'm showing you because I just wanted to pull up the first one that came up. I set annual goals for personal and professional.
Oh, okay.
So I just pulled up my personal. Like
Okay.
I'm transparent. I didn't care, whatever it was. I didn't even know it was going to be on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so so you might want to set a second set if you think you're not doing and getting enough balance at home, right?
Okay.
But don't feel compelled. But I don't want you, Luke, to put a personal goal on the business goal unless this is not you. This is nobody on the call. Tim, I'm just fat and out of shape and I'm just not getting to the office and I'm lazy. You might put on that goal, get in tip-top shape, 180 pounds, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
working out 4 days a week. That would directly relate to you being more productive at work.
Got
Do you know
it.
what I mean? So if it's directly tied to you generating more results, I'm all for it. If it's a personal and relates to you personally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had guys put on there, wrap up my divorce. Totally cool because it's just dragging me down. I'm done fighting. It's taking up too much time. I got to get to work. But but you see how it directly relates, Luke? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But let's say your divorce is ongoing. I'd put that in the personal. Get the documents to the attorney. That's kind of ongoing. But if it directly relates and impacts your mindset or your activity, that's what you want to do. All right. We're gonna go 15 minutes, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here for questions. I'm gonna pause the recording, right? So that when the guys who weren't gonna be able to be on the call, don't have to, sit through the recording. So I'm gonna pause.
Near the sales funnel.
Ahead.
And so my first goal, so my annual goal is to generate revenue to myself of 800 grand. And my first goal in doing that is to complete 208 outbounds to qualified leads per month. My second goal is to convert those outbounds to 21 business generating meetings.
Great.
And then my third is to then convert from those 21 meetings to 8 prospective deals that we add to our CRM. And then my fourth goal is to convert 4 of those prospective deals into signed rep agreements.
So when you get to that third and fourth, I think what you're doing is you're kind of falling into Luke's zone. So
Okay.
what you're doing is your goal is to generate 800,000 to yourself, right?
Mhm.
You're like Northwestern Mutual has a phenomenal model. It's called 10-3-1. 10 calls lead to 3 meetings, lead to 1 close. 10-3-1.
Yeah.
That's how they built this army, right?
Yeah.
You're practicing the 10-3-1 model within the context of your business. But goals 3 and 4, you can't control conversion. What is the
It's true.
activity? That's what I want. Guys, the goals have to be 100% in our control, right? 100% in our control. So what I would say for 3, 4, and 5, I love what you basically said is, I'm going to make 208 calls. I'm going to have 21 face-to-face meetings. Now, goal 3, goal 4, and goal 5, right? It might be
Yeah.
meet with current clients and ask for referrals. It might be doing
Yeah.
a white paper. It might be doing more active on social media.
Yeah. That makes
You're
sense.
you're new to the company. Have you sent out an email or letter to everybody who you know, letting them know where you've landed?
Yeah.
Right?
Got it.
See what I
Yeah.
mean? See like that?
Yeah.
And then create a drip campaign for all to stay on top of these people. Drip, 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 drip. So I'm like Eric and I'm like Luke. I have a sheet and I have on there how many calls I make, how many people I connected with, how many people are interested, and my closes. Now, for you guys, here's the deal. On your tracking, I would suggest that you not put like your close be the filled in circle. And if you want me to send you my tracking form, I can. Right. So the idea is because I close more people because I have a littler sale. Eric, if you're going to only have measure your success based on your closes, you could have 4 closes and have a banner year. So what I would suggest for Luke and Andrew and Eric, when you're tracking, have your success be getting the meeting. Have that be, or in your case, Eric, you might not get the meeting, but they're interested and they invite you to follow up with them. You see what I mean? Because there are fewer people for you, Eric, right? There are more for Andrew and there are more for Luke, and there's way more for me. So when you're tracking, make sure you're giving your success at the end of the week. I like to have a couple of sales at the end of the week because, I want to feel good that I did things. That's not reasonable for you, Luke. It's just not. But Luke, you can have 2 meetings per week if you're dogged. Andrew, same thing for you. Eric, you might get 5 people to respond to my emails. Those are successes for you. So you're done. You're not like, you're just working out, you're eating healthy, and the measurement of your success is people say, you look good, you lose weight, as opposed to I lifted weights, let me look at myself. I lifted weights, let me look at myself. See what I mean? Just focus on chopping wood and carrying water. So what I would love for you guys to do is I would love for you guys to have however you do it, your annuals done by next meeting, polished, your quarterlies and your monthlies. Now, hear me on this. Eric already told me, Tim, monthlies don't do it for me. Then don't do them, Eric. I don't need you to do what I tell you to do. I give you an option. And you go, Tim, love that idea, but I'm going to change it so it works better for my business. I don't want to say I like it more, but I love when I hear that because it means that you buy into it and you're engaging in critical thinking. That's what I'm after. Guys, we have 10 people on this. I'm supposed to be on this call. I mean, you know what I mean? It's at the end of the day, it's not that hard. It really isn't. It's 80% of all sales are made after the 5th contact. I just, last year at the end of the year, I executed a deal with a commercial real estate firm, and the guy I touched 37 times. Now I didn't stalk him; it was 37 times over a course of almost 2 years. But I just dripped. Sometimes I made a phone call, sometimes I sent a text, and he gave me little like he wasn't manipulating me. He gave me SIGs. You know what I mean? Like, how about we connect in a month? Not right now, but you're on my radar. Cool, I'll go with it. It wasn't like I did this major lift. It wasn't like I spent any money. I just checked in. So there's a guy who I've been chasing for about a year. I said to him at the end of the year, he said, I'm really super busy. In January, I sent him an email, said, hey, you said to check back with me in January. What do you think? He said, hey, I'm not ruling out coaching at all. This is a company contract. I'm not ruling out coaching at all, but not right now. How about checking in April? I got him in here. I won't check back in April 1. I'll check probably in the middle of the 1st week or the Monday of the 2nd week. See what I mean? So I just drip and drip and drip. And all I'm saying to you is I tell people success is easy to figure out. It's hard to produce. It really is. It's hard to produce. And thank God we live in America because it's really not that hard to make a couple of $100,000. You can live a decent life if you live in the right area. Your kids can go to good public schools. You know what I mean? But to be where we want to be, no, it's a grind. I'll tell you an interesting story. I have a client of mine. He does captive insurance programs. His name is Wes Cirque. And so he went out to visit with Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, 2 guys in my space. You know Tony Robbins. You might not know Dean Graziosi. Anyway, he went out to visit them. And I was really eager to hear when he came back, what was it like? What was the secret? Because, I'm thinking he's going to talk about it's amazing how they think. It's imaginative. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I do more of that? And I said, so Wes, share with the group, tell the group, what was their secret? He didn't hesitate. He goes, they're grinders. I'm like, part of me was like, okay, I'm relieved because I'm a grinder. But then part of me is like, oh man, you mean I got to keep grinding? But here are these guys, Tony Robbins, 60 years old, worth, $500 million or whatever. He's a grinder. He gets up every day and grinds, grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds. Now, he likes it, right? I mean, at some point you have this money and he's not interested in retiring. He's interested in impacting lives. But I thought that was really, really fascinating. And I took comfort in it. But then on the other side, I kind of laughed because it was kind of a bummer. Because I was hoping that, there would be the breakthrough, right? What questions do you guys have on the productivity funnel and on your goals in particular?
I have a question about something you said on response rate. So our internal stats are that if the prospect doesn't respond to an email after the third time, there's an 80% less chance that they'll ever respond. So I drop people after my third touch point usually, but I'd love to hear where your stats come from.
Mine are just basic sales stats. Now yours might be different because it's 10 million, but my stats are based on, when I say research, I always tell people I went to law school to earn a living. I went to Barnes and Noble University to build a business. So it's like reading Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy. These stats existed long before me.
Yeah.
Right. So and they just said 80% here, and here are what the stats are, believe it or not. Of 100% of the people that make that first contact or first call, right? The 40% make the third, 25% make the fourth, and only 10% make the fifth. And I'm not saying to you that, remember I said 80% of all calls are after the fifth contact. You might get it in the second contact, but you also might do 37 touches. So I think you have to use your judgment, Eric. And you guys, look, you're Goldman Sachs. It doesn't mean you know everything, but that's research. And I'm sure that they have their research department that says this is what we have found, and they have to at some point make a decision. Guys, don't live on the outlier concept. Like somebody's like, well, I should go meet this guy because he could throw me a deal. No, fewer better. So if that's what the Goldman's telling you for your client base of 10 million and above, right? It probably is right, or it might be right. But for me, I'm looking for a corporate contract, so I'm looking for a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So just like you are on those, but then the other ones, Eric, I'm looking for the Eric Lippmans, you know what I mean? Which is 23.97. So anyway, just food for thought. Great question. I'm glad you actually shared that information. Anybody else? Any other? What other questions do you have about your own particular goals or the concept?
Hey, Tim, I got monthly, yearly, quarterly. I don't remember which video. I think it was like on the business, in the business, stuff that comes up daily, right?
We're going to do that next call.
Daily, like in other words, like yesterday, I get a call. This all applies to all of us, but you get a call and boom, all of a sudden something you didn't plan for pops up, right? So you got to pivot. Is that like the on the business, in the business? Is that where you keep track of that? Like before you go to bed or something, you might spend 10 minutes going through your next day.
So let me give you the setup for next call. We're going to work on the business, in the business. In the business, I'll give you an example is making copies, filling out your expense reports. It might be in the business, Luke, preparing site plans. Oh, Tim, that relates to a deal. I know, Luke, but I always think of it like eventually you could delegate that away to somebody else to do. So, Luke, what's the highest paid? This is a good trick question for you. What's the highest paid position on average in baseball today?
Today?
765 million.
What position?
Starting pitcher or designated hitter?
Yes. First guy ever get it. Designated hitter.
Is it?
Yeah, guys usually go third baseman or pitcher or first base. It's the designated hitter. He gets paid to do one thing and one thing only, and a subset of one thing. Hit for power. What are your 3 to 5 designated hitter skills? That's what you want to start. So what are Tim O'Brien's? Prospecting, okay? Coaching, one-on-one meetings, networking, social media. If I could do only that, 90% of the time, I'm crushing it. So what's in the business? Everything else. Now, what I do is I time block, and I keep that as sacrosanct. So I'll give you a good example. When I was building Rainmaker in the very beginning, I'd come into the office. I'd have a meeting in the morning, 7:30 to 9. It was on the business. Then I'd come into the office and I would tell my assistant, Susie, nobody bothers me till 11 o'clock. 9 to 11, call. If there was an emergency or something like that, she let me know. But what I didn't do, guys, is I didn't let somebody else's emergency become my emergency if it wasn't truly an emergency. You follow me? This is where people get off track, is they allow things, even if you can't delegate it away, Luke, right? They allow it to control them. Why can't you do it at 11:30, Luke? Tim, I can't because of timing. Then you got to do it. But Luke, more often than not, can I get back to you on that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the idea is we're going to start thinking about your designated hitter skills, right? What are the skills, the highest and best use of your time, and then everything else is in the business. And then what we're going to do, gang, is I have a great document on this and then guess what? You don't even have to look at your monthly goals. You work for the sheet. That's what you do. You work for the sheet. The sheet tells you, this is what I'm going to work on the business this week, right? And it's awesome. So, Tim, I got this annual, I got this quarterly, monthly, and I got this weekly. Don't worry about it. Just do me a favor. Just chill. You're only going to look at your quarterlies 4 times a year when you fill out each quarterly, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And you're only going to look at your annuals 2 times a year, right? So the idea at the beginning and the end. Your monthly is based on your quarterly, right? And then your weekly is based on your monthly. So that's why the productivity funnel. So at the end of the day, the night before, I actually take it a step further and I go the night before, what are 3 on the business and 3 in the business things that I'm going to do today? Those are the highest priority. And I can't do in the business until I do on the business. So I finished the on the business. Now I feel good about myself. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I do in the business. But the biggest thing I would like to tell you is don't let somebody else's emergency that's not a true emergency derail you from your power hour or your power time, your power block. Having said that, guys, it happens. And you got to respond to a client because you've got to do the deal. You got to be responsible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Any questions, you let me know. We're going to work on, and I'll send the summary, videos 8 through 11, right? So, and we're going to talk about that, and they're going to talk about the home stretch, what the home stretch means. But you guys now understand how to fill out your annual, your quarterly, and both the top and the bottom of the quarterly and monthly. You know how to grade yourself on the execution, and you know how to grade yourself on the impact grade. The impact grade, Luke, so your goal is 84,000, right? Now, Luke, you like each of you guys, I like the way you set it up, 84,000, right? You want to do a $500,000 to you. Look, yours might come in at the end of the year. So you can't give yourself an F because you didn't get 84,000 this month. But if you feel like you kicked ass and you did a great job on impact, give yourself a B or a B plus. You know what I mean? Knowing it's going to come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Grade yourself hard at the end of the year on your annual. How'd you do this year? Did you hit your economic goal? A plus, B minus. Okay, you did that. Great. Now let's set 2026 goals.
Got it.
Okay? All right, guys.
Thanks,
Awesome call. Love it. I'm here, okay? I'm not the Wizard of Oz. Let me know what you need, okay?
Thanks, Tim. Good
Thank
to
you,
meet you
man.
guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tim.
guys. You
Pleasure
too,
to meet
Bye,
you
guys.
guys. Yeah.
Take care. See you, Andrew.
See you, Luke.
Hey, Luke,
Yeah.
I introduced to Tom Sherlock. I'm going to introduce you to Patrick Girardi. He played football at Columbia, and he played football at Columbia, and he played in the Arena League. Then he was the director of scouting for UCLA. He's in Commonwealth title. I think he'd be a good contact for you. I thought of him yesterday when you were talking because he has a ton of information on properties. He probably can get you a lot of the information that you want, but he wants
Okay.
to meet guys like you, obviously. And what's the value prop for you is Patrick basically is like, tell me what information you need. My team will do the research for you.
Okay.
And that
Sounds
way you
good.
can find these properties that might be distressed, underwater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Is that valuable?
Yeah. No, hey, it's always good to meet new people.
I think you'll, and by the reason I say that is because you guys are also athletes. So I think you'll enjoy each other. But, I'm going to say, don't hesitate to ask each other. Now, this is what I need. Can you give this to me? This is
Yeah.
what I want for the Rainmaker community, right? I want you to
Yeah.
do deals. Patrick, this is what I need. Can you help me on that? This is not like a
Yeah.
introductory. You have enough coffees, casual coffees.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Let
All
me
right,
know
Tim.
about the turbo. Let me know about the turbocharge. I sent you guys an email yesterday if there's any young bloods in there.
Okay.
And the first 3 months are a half price, 150.
Okay.
Okay. And then after that, if they like it, it does go up to 300, but it's also only month to month.
Yeah.
So if you go 1 month and you don't like it, you don't have to continue. So I just always like to clarify that.
Okay.
But you
Awesome,
don't have
Tim. Thank you.
you don't have a second job, just if it's convenient.
Okay, man.
All
I
right,
appreciate
dog.
it.
Talk
All
to you
right.
soon. I'm
Okay,
here on
take care.
anything you need.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.